Hello, parents, and welcome to Math with Mr. Pratt. I'm sure if the kiddos have come home talking about how we've been multiplying, you have suddenly become the dad from Incredibles that's wondering, like, math has always been math. Where does this new math come from? So I wanted to take a minute to just give you guys the opportunity to see where exactly it is this new math comes from and why we're doing what we do. So we've been working on up to 4-digit numbers by 1-digit number and 2-digit by 2-digit. So if we just write something out here, let's say 3,142, and we'll multiply that by 5. Okay, so in the old method, we were taught to just kind of stack this up, and I'll do it over here. 3,142. Let's see. That is not a 2. We got this. Writing with a mouse is hard. One more time. 3,142 multiplied by 5. Okay. So let me just do it. I'll do it both ways at the same time. So the first thing I've told the kids to look at is how many digits are in this first number here. And in this case, there's 4. And with that, we're going to draw a box. And we're going to divide that into 4 parts, 1 for each digit. Now we have 3,142. Okay, so we're just going to start with that idea of 3,142, and we're multiplying those by 5. So it kind of looks like it's going to be an area model thing going on. Except what I asked them to then realize as we decompose this number, this digit here is not worth 3. It is actually worth 3,000. So when I talk about this 3, that 3 is not 3,000. This 1 is not 1, but because it's in the hundreds places, it's 100. This 4, because it's in the tens place, is 40. And the only one of those digits that is the value that it shows is the 2, because it's a 2 in the ones place. Now, if we look at the old way we used to do this, we used to say, okay, 2 multiply 5 is 10. I do the same thing over here. I've got the 2, I've got the 5. I'm going to say 2 multiply 5 is 10. So in our old method, we just took that 10 and we said, okay, we put the 0 there, we carry the 1. We basically do the same thing. We'll get to doing that. But as I continue my math here, I have 4 multiply 5, which is what we would do here. 4 multiply 5 is 20, right? And then we'd add the 1 and we'd have 21. Okay, and we end up going like that. Here we're going to say 4 multiply 5 is 20, but it's not really just 4 multiply 5. It is 40 multiply 5, so that is actually worth 200. And when you bring this 2 up over here, that 2 is saying, because that's above the hundreds, that's like, okay, now I have 2 more hundreds, which is just simply what we're showing there. When we take the 100 and we multiply it by the 5, or over here we have the 1 multiply 5 is 5. And because it's not just 1 multiply 5, it's 100 multiply 5, that's going to be 500. Over here we'd say 1 multiply 5 is 5, add 2. We're going to get to the add 2, but we have 1 multiply 5 is 5, add 2 is 7. And then in our old method, we would say 3 multiply 5 is 15, and we would be done. Over here, we say 3 multiply 5 is 15, but because it's 3,000, those zeros get thrown on to the end, so it's actually 3,000 multiply 5, which is 15,000. So then we'd bring those down and we'd say, okay, 15,000 add 500, add 200, add 10. And we'd still, you'll see, add up. Zeros equals 0. 0 add 0 add 0 add 1 is 1. 5 add 2 is 7. And then there's nothing there, so that 15 just comes down. And both of those answers get 15,710. But especially for these formative years of teaching the kids how to multiply, the new way that we're showing them is really helping build that foundation for place value and understanding when I say 2 multiply 5 is 10, it really is 10. It's not a 0 carry the 1. 40 multiply 5 is not actually 4 multiply 5. It's 40 multiply 5 because we're in the tens place. And we still end up adding the 1. We just add it all up at the end. Let me show you real quick another example. Let's see here. Okay, show you another example because the other thing we have to do is 2 digit by 2 digits. So let's say 32 multiply 15. Now in the olden days, back in my day, I know, I feel like, get off of my lawn. I'm becoming an old grandpa here. We would do 32 multiply 15 and we'd set it up that way. But here we follow our same 4 steps. We draw boxes, except this time because we're 2 by 2, I need 2 boxes going up and 2 boxes going this way. So we draw our boxes, we decompose. So 32 becomes 30 because that 3 is in the tens place, and 2, and 15 becomes 10 and 5. And with that, our problem's set up again, really again cementing that idea of place value. Now here, we would say, okay, 2 times 5 is 10, so I write the 0 and I carry the 1. Over here, we're doing the same thing. 2 times 5 is 10, but that 10 goes down there. After we do the 2 times 5 is 10, here we would say 3 times 5 is 15, add 1 is 16. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing here. 3 times 5 is 15. But because it's 30 times 5, we really understand that 10 needs to throw its 0 onto the end. 30 times 5 would be 150. And again, we'll do that add 1 at the end when we bring it all together. Okay, and then, yours is not the reason why. You put a 0 here, but why do you put a 0 here? And you put the 0 here because now we're not just doing 2 times 1. We're actually doing 2 times 10, which would be 20. But I don't know about you, I was never actually taught that. You just put a 0 there. I even had some teachers tell me that you just put an X there because it doesn't matter. Because we're just moving over that one place and that's just a place filler. But really it's a 0 because what we're doing is 2 multiply 10, which we're doing the same thing here. 2 multiply 10 is 20. And then here we would say, okay, and 3 times 1 is 3. But that's not really 3 times 1. It's actually 30 times 10. So we do the 1 multiply 3, which gets us that. But then because it's 30 multiply 10, each of those 10s, the 30 has to throw its 0 on the end, and the 10 has to throw its 0 on the end. Because if you look over here, this is 320. So that 3 is in the hundreds place. So that is actually 300. Okay, and then in the old way, we would do that. 0 add 0 is 0. 6 add 2 is 8. 3 add 1 is 4. We're going to end up doing all of our adding here, including what we had to regroup up there. So we just take those 4 numbers. 300, add 150, add 20, and add 10. That looks like 70. Just go with it. 0 add 0 add 0 add 0 is 0. 5 add 2 add 1 is 8. And 3 add 1 is 4. So again, virtually we're doing the exact same thing. We get to the same answer, but the way that we're having the kids do it now, it's really helping cement the, it's not just yours is not to reason why, just whatever. It's actually teaching them why we're doing what we're doing. When I punch these numbers into a calculator and it gives me 480, why is that working? It's not magic, it's math. We aren't magicians. We are math magicians. Hopefully that helps you guys out a little bit to understand why we're teaching them the way we are. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you next time.